Hello and welcome, my name's Sam and this is the Little Greenhouse Creates. Thank you for joining me today and thank you for joining me for our last card in this series of the Fluffiest of Friends, which, if you haven't seen it, is this beautiful stamp set, 9 characters, and also has a 21 dies to match with it. So today is this card and it's all about the bear. So here you can see, so let me bring in the supplies and I can tell you what we've got. So let's bring those in. Okay, so we have pecan pie measuring 8 inches by 5 3/4. We have a piece of lemon lolly that measures 3 3/4 by 5 1/2. We then have another piece of the pecan pie and that measures 3 1/2 by 5 1/4. And we have 2 pieces of white cardstock, which should, in theory, match that one. I'm actually going to cut that one down. So again, that's 3 3/4 by 3 1/2 by 5 1/4, and same as this one, which will be the inside piece. We're going to score that at 4 inches so we can fold it. And I have a piece of white cardstock for the sentiment, which is 3 3/4 inch by 3 1/2. Let me just double check that. Yes, 3 1/2. So it's 1/4 inch by 3 1/2. So let's pop these pieces aside for a second. Just going to make this piece slightly smaller. Bring in my board. So it is at the moment 3 1/2. So I'm going to make it 3 and 1, 2, 1, 2, for goodness sake, 1, 2, 3. There we go. So that is 3 3/8, and this is 5 2/8. So what you'll do is it will just be smaller than the level. Okay, so it goes. It will go on like that. So there'll be a little border which we won't really see. Okay, so let's put that aside, and then I'm going to bring in my scoreboard and we're going to score the pecan pie at 4 inches. So I'm using the smaller of the two ends at 4 inches, straight down, and now we've got broad, brilliant sunshine. It's amazing how the weather changes so quickly. Definitely spring showers, or April showers should I say. Okay, let's burnish that. Okay, now most of the work, as usual, is going to be on this piece of paper. But first what we need to do is, I've also got an embossing folder and the die that creates the cave for the bear. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to take my smaller piece of pecan pie. I'm just going to position my die like so, and then I'm going to run it through the embossing. Once it's run through, I'm going to take that off. This piece we don't need, and then I'm going to stick it onto the lemon lolly like so, and I'm going to use my multi-purpose glue. Quite a lot of that coming through. Oh, excuse me. Okay, so I'm going to turn that over, pop that on my lemon lolly like so. Oops. There we go. Then I'm going to take the die again and I'm going to place it over the top of this, and it will feel like the resistance, and once you feel that resistance, you know you've got it in place of where it was originally. And then I'm going to run it through the embossed and cut machine again. Okay, and then that will come off quite nicely, and that bit can go. Okay, so the next thing to do is to pop it into our embossing folder. So this is the rings, I can't remember what it was called, like a wooden rings. So I'm going to, it's in the catalogue, in the main catalogue. Came with dies as well, and I can't remember the name, so I do apologise. I will find that out. So there we go. That will then run through the embossing folder. Once that's been run through, you can take it out. Whoops, there we go. And you get this ring effect on the two matte layers. So the next thing to do, bring in your white cardstock, layer it over the top of your white, and then taking a pencil, very gently run a line down the bottom, and that will give you a rough idea of where you're going to put your bear. Okay, so the line is there. So now the bear can come in, and I'm using the early espresso. Put those to the side. There we go. We use the early espresso. Perfect. And then what I'm going to try and do is get his feet as close to that line as possible, so that he doesn't look like he's floating in the air. Okay, and press down. And there he is. Isn't he beautiful? So like we did on Monday and Wednesday, I have now got a sticky note of the bear, which I'm going to hover over the top, and most of my work is going to focus at the bottom. So I'm going to make sure that that's exactly in place where I need it to be. Oh, excuse me. I'm going to bring in my blend pen, my blending brush, and my garden green ink. And I'm literally going to rub my brush onto the ink pad, rub it onto here so most of it comes off. And then I'm just going to rub over the feet and around the bear to give him some grounding. There we go. So he looks like that he is sitting in the grass. There we go. Okay. Now, I don't actually have grass in the stamp set, the Fluffiest of Friends, but the previous week we did Cutest Cows, and that had little grass, put it the right way around, little grass blades. So I'm just going to add a bit of detail and add those along the line that we've just drawn over the feet of the bear. So as I say, it does make him look like he is sitting in the grass eating his honey. There we go. And then I'm just going to add a few bees using the early espresso. Let's make sure my bees are all the right way up. Okay, move your side. Hold him down. So I'm going to do, and I'm also going to do one over, so it looks like they're after the honey. There we go. And then he can come off. And there he is, sitting in the grass having his honey. So the only thing to do now is to colour them in. So I'm going to use, let me show you the colours I've got. So I have got, for the bear, I have, the Skin Tone 300. I've got dark crumb cake and light crumb cake. For the honey, I am using a dark Daffodil Delight. And I have also got dark Calypso Coral and light Calypso Coral, which will be used on the the pot for the bear, where his honey is. So let me bear with me for a second. So bringing back in, all nicely coloured. I have coloured all the bees in. Not quite sure where the aperture will be. So by colouring them all in, I know I'm not going to leave any missing. So now you can see he fits quite nicely. So before I stick that down, what I need to do is I've got myself some grass, which is one of the dyes that comes with the set. And I'm just going to run that along the bottom on the thing so it peeks through the other side. So using my glue, I'm going to run my grass on the top side at the bottom of each piece of the glue. There we go. That's that one. So he's going to go say across there, so that the grass peeks up on the edge there. And then I'm going to do the same on this one. Oh, excuse me. And then I'm going to do exactly the same on that piece that goes across there. So as you can see, the grass is coming up there. I'm not quite sure you can see, but that actually is Parakeet Party rather than the lemon lime. There we go. Now, so that can now go over the top of our bear who is eating his honey. And it will look like that. But I'm going to give it a bit of dimensional. So a bit of dimension with the dimensionals even. So this time I'm going to put the dimensionals actually on the piece that we've worked on. Each top, then at the bottom, and then I'm going to make sure I'm going to put some more down here by making sure I miss the line so I know that they don't throw through on the aperture of the card. So they will sit like that. Okay, so let's take the tops off of those. 1, 2, 3. One minute I've got no sun and it's dark, and at the moment just in the corner of my window into my left eye is a very bright piece of sunshine, just almost as if it's aiming right at me. It's a bit okay, so there he is that way, and that's what it looks like on the bottom or on the back. Okay, so this now can be layered up onto our pecan pie on there like so, and I will just glue that down. So you run the glue over the back of the white cardstock only. Taking that over. We don't really want to complain about the sun, considering the weather just seems to change so drastically, so quickly. So, right, so there we are. So all that's to be done now is we can add a branch that will hold the honey pot. So that can go on there. Again, I'm going to glue that down with just your normal multi-purpose. So just dab it along. I don't want it to over spill, so I'm going to be really at one dot and then push it along in the hope that it just sticks down but doesn't over glue it. Okay, so there is our branch. Then we are going to just add a few leaves. Now this is my honeycomb that is, well, the bee's nest. Now you can either leave it plain like that, or like I've done on this one, I've coloured it in, and I just literally used a piece of, a dark pen. So this is the Skin Tone 300, and I'm just going to use the fine end and just draw around the circle. So it almost gives you the effect that that's, whoops, there are some bees hiding in there. There we go. Right, so I'm going to take this particular leaf, which is like 3 leaves, and I'm just going to pop it on the top of my bee's nest. Okay, just dab a tiny bit of glue there. And what I want to do is I'm going to position it so that it doesn't cover over the hole, because that really would defeat the object. There we go. And then that will sit here on my thing. But what I'm going to do under here, I'm going to put a dimensional to give it that extra, you know, dimensional, and make it now we could, there we are. What I'm going to do is make sure it covers, and there we are. So it sits on there, and all I've got to do now is put the leaves on the other branches. So I've got another 3 leaf, which I shall put over here. Then I've got the 2 little leaves, like so. If I can bring that up and see if it will focus. No, I don't want to confuse the camera too much. It's a new system I'm using at the moment, and I'm a little bit nervous of it. I just want to make sure it works and does what it says on the tin. I'm sure once I'm a little bit more used to it, I will be able to be a bit more braver with it, should I say. Okay, so there are our leaves on, and now just to put our sentiment. So I'm going to bring in that 1/2 inch, that will go across there, and I'm going to use the sentiment Happy Birthday from the Sweetly Scripted stamp set. Put you aside. Going to use the Early Espresso. Just going to run it along there like so. And what I'm going to try and do is get the word Happy Birthday as central as I possibly can, because it doesn't matter if I cut off the ends of the squiggly lines, but I do want it to look fairly balanced. There we go. And then I'm just going to pop Happy Birthday, pop the dimensionals on the back of Happy Birthday. So again, just 3, 1 on each end and 1 in the middle. I could have stuck it down, but because it's a rough edge on the actual card from the embossing folder, I didn't want to try and get the glue to have to hold something as large as this down. It's okay for the leaves and everything, because there's not much space to have to worry about. But there we go. So I'm now going to pop that onto there, and there we go. There is our card completed. So that's the one we've just done, and this is the one I did earlier. So thank you ever so much for joining me this week. I hope you enjoyed the stamp set. I certainly did. I thought it was great fun, and it's one I probably will definitely keep to the side. So thank you ever so much for joining me this week. I hope to catch up with you next week, whatever you do for the rest of the day, and for your weekend, stay safe and happy crafting. Lots of love. Bye.